Marketing That Works is the podcast for business owners who want to move their brand forward so that they can bring in more sales and clients. I'm Danielle Harris, and I'm bringing you what I know from more than 12 years of experience in traditional and online marketing. I have created marketing strategies for businesses of all sizes, from multi-million-dollar corporations to early-stage online businesses. Remember, some marketers chase fads. I believe in mastering the fundamentals. Have you ever had the thought, if I didn't have this job, my business would be so much further along right now? I know you've said this because I hear some version of that almost every single week from clients of mine who think the 9 to 5 is the most limiting thing holding them back in their business. In this final episode of the series of marketing your business with a 9 to 5, I want to spend this entire episode unpacking why that thought of quitting your job is not only inaccurate, it's actually holding you back in your business. So let's just name what exactly is happening when you think that thought. You're comparing yourself to someone who is full time in their business. Maybe it's someone you follow online, maybe it's someone you're in a program with, maybe it's just a version of yourself that you've imagined who has unlimited time and zero other responsibilities. And here's the problem with that comparison. It is not an apples to apples situation, not even close. The person that you are comparing yourself to, if they're full time in their business, they have completely different sets of circumstances than you do. And it's not just in terms of time. A lot of the people I see comparing themselves are not just full time, they also have support. They have team members, they have people helping them with content, their admin, their client work. Maybe they even have a partner that can help carry the financial load at home. And yet, somehow we take that person and we hold ourselves up next to them and wonder why we are not keeping up and keeping pace. It is not a fair comparison. Like, it's just not. And it's not a useful one either. I mean, I had a client who came to me feeling really, really defeated. She said something like, "Ugh, I feel like I've been working on the same thing for a couple of weeks and I'm just so frustrated with myself." And I looked at her and said, "Did you not just tell me that you had a loved one that you were taking care of full time, essentially? And you also have a 9 to 5, and you also have responsibilities within your community that you need to show up for? Like, you are living a full life and also building a business." I had to tell her and remind her, like, you are not moving slowly. You are moving intentionally within everything in your life that is required of you right now. That reframe for her, that shift from slow to intentional, it changed everything for her. And for so many of you, I'm sure that you understand that at an intellectual level, but I need you all to really sit with that. Like, you understand that first and foremost before you can then go on and do the other thought exercises of, okay, but like, still, I understand that, I get that, but like, I still want to be moving faster. Once you really sit with this idea and this concept, going into that thought of like, okay, I'm moving intentionally and very specifically is going to come so much faster. But I'll get into that in a little bit. But right now, I want to address something because I think that it's really important for this episode specifically. There are some of you who are working your 9 to 5 right now, and the real goal, is to eventually leave that job and become full time in your business. You want to get there, you're working towards it, and you just want to know that the progress that you're making now is actually moving you in that direction. And then there are others of you where leaving your job is not necessarily the goal. You love what you do. Your career matters to you, but you also want your business to be something real and significant, something that gives you an additional stream of income so you can travel more, take care of the people that you love, save for retirement, or just have more freedom and options in your life. And here's what I want if you are in either one of those situations to really hear. The principle of how you approach all of this is exactly the same. It doesn't matter which path you are on. What matters is that you get clear on what your actual goal is, what your actual capacity is, and then make sure that every single thing that you do is moving you towards that specific goal as efficiently as possible. That is the point, that is the goal. That's the approach that I always take with my people, whether they are full-time in their business right now, whether they are just starting their business, whether they're in a 9 to 5 and want to eventually quit, or if they're just using their business as a means to enhance their retirement later on in life. No matter what, I take the same approach. You have to be very clear on your goals, your priorities, and your current capacity so that every single step that you take is going to be intentional to get you to that goal as quickly as you can. And I say as quickly as you can, not because the goal is speed. The goal is the intentionality to go towards that at a pace that's not going to burn you out and stress you out. Because the pace at which you move, it truly isn't the point at the end of the day. The intentionality behind every move that you make is the point. Because I have a lot of clients out there, they do a whole lot of things quickly, but it's not necessarily the things that's going to move the needle in their business. It is about you intentionally making smart moves that move you forward. That's going to get you there faster, ultimately, at the end of the day. Because let's be honest, 2 posts a week done with intention and strategy will always outperform 5 posts a week done just to keep up with someone else's schedule every single time. I have clients who post twice a week and are booking clients consistently. I have other clients who have built up to posting 5 times a week. Neither one is right or wrong. What matters is that whatever that they're doing is purposeful and pointed directly to their goal. So let me get practical for a second because I don't want this to just be a feel good episode. I want you to actually walk away with something that you can use. Being intentional with your time, to me, it means a few things. First, it means being honest with what time you actually have. Not the time you wish you had, not the time you think you should have, the actual real time that exists in your week for your business. And I mean specific windows before work, lunch breaks, evenings, weekends. What do you actually have and what do you actually need from those windows to show up as a whole person? I give this exact same advice to people who are full time in their business because my full time business, their time and attention is split and divided as well. They are balancing client calls, balancing client delivery, meetings. They still have to know their capacity. So, knowing and understanding that skill right now while you're still in your 9 to 5 ultimately gives you a competitive advantage because my people who just jumped right into full time work, they don't have that skill, and that keeps them struggling with balancing all of their priorities. I remember I had a client who was coming off of maternity leave, and she was so excited to get back into her business. She was talking about all the things that she wanted to do, and I just stopped her and said, "What time do you actually have?" And when we mapped it out, she had 2 days a week, 4 hours each day. That was it. 8 hours a week total. And of those 8 hours, she had client sessions to deliver, prep time, follow up work, and then whatever was left was for her marketing and her content. And when she saw that laid out, she was like, oh, okay, so I need to be really intentional about this. I'm like, yes, that's exactly right. And for this client, that clarity was such a gift because instead of trying to do everything and feeling behind on all of it, she could focus on the things that were actually going to move the needle within the time that she actually had. And 9 to 5 or no 9 to 5, this kind of audit will help you to make better use of your time and get clear on the actions that you need to take. The second thing intentional means is making your actions work as hard as possible. And this is something I think about a lot. How can one thing that you do solve multiple purposes? Now, I'll give an example from my own life. When I was still in my 9 to 5, I was traveling for a work conference to Chicago. And I found out that there was another business conference happening nearby that was relevant to, my business and what I wanted to grow. And I went to my company and said, I think you should send me to this one too." I had a whole proposal about how, like, okay, yeah, like it's a little bit different, a little bit outside, but I had it all written out of how it could double down and help them and their business because that's all your 9 to 5 wants. Like, okay, how is that going to help my bottom line? I had all of that broken down and proposed so that they would send me to that one as well. Like I said, my company did. They said yes. And they paid for me to attend the event where I made business connections. Some people I'm actually still connected with and talk to today, years later. And this is what it looks like to leverage your resources to make your time work for you. So how can you have your business obligations and your 9 to 5 work things coincide at some level? How can you make the most out of every single opportunity that comes across your way? How can you double down and make things really work for you and your betterment? That is what it looks like to leverage your resources and make your time work for you, make your energy and efforts work for you. And I help my clients do this exact same thing. Like, how can you network in a way that serves both your career and your business? How can you create content that answers the questions your ideal clients are already asking so that every host is doing real work? How can you collaborate with other people in a way that gets you in front of new audiences without requiring a ton of additional time? It's not about doing more, it's about doing the right things more effectively. And then finally, the third thing that being intentional means is knowing what your most high impact activities are and protecting the time you have for those things above everything else. Not the things that feel productive, not things that are easy or comfortable, the things that are actually going to get you closer to your goals. And I know this is something that a lot of people often struggle with. They are able to see all the tasks that, can be done, but knowing exactly how to choose the most high impact ones is always something that's really interesting. And so that's something that I spend a lot of time with my clients with of helping them to figure out, okay, what are the activities that I can do? How do I have the time to do that? How do I then go through and make sure that I'm making the most use of my time in doing all of those things? And I spend so much time with my clients being able to hone in on that skill so that they can move faster and be intentional with how they move in their business. I help clients with that so that they feel more confident and that they're so clear that, like, everything that I'm doing, whether if I only have an hour and a half every single day to do something towards my business, I know that it's the best hour and a half that I'm spending towards that. And my clients they just get so much success from that. They're able to get people who are DMing them, they get opportunities to be on big stages. They're able to do so many things because they hone in on the skill that we work on. And I always say sometimes it requires someone from the outside helping you to see what those things are, because when you're inside of it, it can be really hard to tell what's moving the needle and what's just keeping you busy. And so that's why I love working with my clients, especially my long-term clients, because I am able to see how they keep themselves stuck of doing like the same kind of repetitive thing, or what are some comfort habits that they do where they're just like, oh, when they get stressed and overwhelmed, they start doing this thing over here because it makes them feel busy and productive. And so when I'm able to see that, then I'm able to call them out and say like, "Hey, like, you're doing this habit again. This is the thing that you really need to be focusing on so that you can actually move forward, not doing this your kind of comfort business habits, because that's a whole other thing too of comfort business habits." So, really, just to wrap up, like, here are some things that I want to leave you with at the end of this entire series. You came into part one, maybe wondering if your business was even real. I hope that you're leaving this series knowing that it absolutely is. You came into part two, maybe feeling nervous about who was watching and whether it was safe to put yourself out there. And I hope you're leaving with a clearer sense of where you feel confident and comfortable enough actually showing up to promote yourself and your business. And as you came into part three, maybe you're feeling like you're behind, you're moving too slowly. And I hope that right now you're leaving knowing that you're not behind. You are building something that's real within your real life, which you have so many other duties, responsibilities, and things going on. That's not a weakness that you have. While you're moving through this, you're actually building up a truly, truly valuable skill. I just need you all to know that you don't have to choose between your job and your business. You don't have to wait until you go full time to start making real progress. You just have to be intentional about the time that you have, strategic about your actions that you take, and clear about the goals that you have to move forward. If you want help with that, if you want someone in your corner who is going to help you to know how to make the most of that limited time that you have, know what marketing actions are actually going to give you the biggest result, know how to create a marketing plan that actually fits your life, this is exactly what I do with my clients inside my one on one program called The Blueprint. It's a 3-month one on one program for coaches, service providers, and leaders who are ready to start attracting the right people and building something that works in your life. Whether your goal is to eventually go full time or to build something that gives you a little bit more freedom right along with your career, I work with people on both paths. And like I said before, like nearly half of my clients right now, they have 9 to 5 jobs. So I know firsthand what it looks like to build something real while living a full life because I helped them do it and I did it myself. If you are ready to stop going at it alone and start getting strategic and intentional advice about your marketing, I want to invite you to check out the link in the show notes to learn more about working with me. I would love, love, love to work and support you. So, thank you so much for being here for this entire series. It means everything to me that you showed up for these 3 episodes. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.